We will now talk about how we hand in programming assignments in this class. We'll use a system called HyperGrade. And what's cool about HyperGrade is it gives you immediate feedback. So if you submit an assignment, rather than waiting for the teacher to correct it, maybe handing it back 2 weeks later, it'll immediately tell you if you've done something right or if you've done something wrong. And in that case, you can keep on resubmitting right up until the deadline until everything is correct. To do this, you must have HyperGrade access, and you can buy this online for $10. And I walk you through this in Homework 1. And just to refresh your memory, I'm here on the Windows side, and in Homework 1, 5 things to do. One of the things is buy access to HyperGrade for $10. Register with your real full name and Old Westbury email address, and the course code is 10554. And once you do that, you should be able to access a screen like this. This is Lecture 2 assignments, and don't worry about the date. But it says, oh, are these late? It doesn't matter. Who cares? So question 1 is incomplete, and question 2 is incomplete. And notice I have 6 late days remaining. You probably have 7 late days starting out. So be sure to keep as many late days as possible so that you don't run out of late days. And so we can submit question 1, and let's see what question 1 entails. It's a Hello World remix, and I want you to write commented code that outputs the following: your first name, your last name, your year in college, your favorite semi-current TV show or movie, your favorite semi-current song, and if you give permission for me to associate your name with the song when I make the class playlist. Okay, as long as your song's not inappropriate or vulgar, right? And I have my assignment here, and what you can do is you can upload this, and you might be wondering how to upload this in Visual Studio. Well, you can click on Documents, and in Documents, you can go into Visual Studio 2015, and you can go into Projects, and I have my Hello World remix in there, and I'll double click on that, and here's my Hello remix.cpp file. Now notice I told you to save as .cxx, but HyperGrade's having a bug right now that should be solved by the time you see this video. So your file will be named .cxx. I named mine .cpp. It's not a big deal. If you name yours .cpp, it's not the end of the world. But we're trying to get into the pattern of naming our file with main in it .cxx. Okay, so I'm going to select this file. And it says your instructor has received all your files, and that's it. Okay, so this hasn't given us much feedback, but you can't really get this one wrong. Let's go to the second one, which is a little more interesting. So I'm going to go back to home. So once you've done this, you've received the file. I'm going to go back to home, and notice that this changes from incomplete to complete. Okay, so now I'm going to go to submit the incomplete one, which is question 2, and this is the one we talked about in class, and it has a little more to it. We have to insert 2 integers or prompt the user for 2 integers, and the user will give us the 2 numbers added together, the first number minus the second number, the 2 numbers multiplied together, and then divided, first number divided by the second number, and then the average of the 2 numbers. Okay, and I'm going to do this by, again, we can go into Documents. I'm going to actually drag the file in there just so that you can see that mechanism too. And I'm going to go into Projects. And I have a file in here called Calculate Wrong, or a project in here called Calculate Wrong, and I got a .cpp file in here called Calculate Wrong. As you can imagine, it calculates things wrong. And I'm going to drag it in there. And now I get this little prompt that says test code. So most of your assignments, unlike the first one, are going to be testable, right? So question 1 wasn't testable, but this question 2, is testable. And if we click test code, it comes up with whether a test case failed or passed. And it says some of the test cases have failed. So if we scroll down, we can see the output I expected as the teacher, or as the person writing the key to this assignment, and the output that was submitted. Okay, and I can see where they differ, and this should give me an idea of where things went wrong. So this is standard input. So if the user inputs 5 and 4, And you guys might be wondering why there's a 0 inputted in here. And that's because we have that cin at the end that pauses the program. So I always input 3 numbers. I do this 5 and this 4, and then the 0 is so that at the very end of the program, you have something that ends the program. Okay? And I'm expecting that the 2 numbers added together is 9. And that's the case. And the first number subtracted by the second number is 1, and that's the case. So far, I'm golden, right? And the first number multiplied by the second number is 20, and that's the case. And then the first number divided by your second number is 1.25, and I get 1. Uh-oh, right? So that's not right. And so everything else is thrown off after that, right? All other outputs thrown off after that. So you might be able to think, why did he get 1 here, right? We did a example like this in class and on the previous video. So you might already have an indication of what's wrong here in that case. And as we go down, we could see that there's other, so this one says the output is too short, right? Because the 0.25 is 2 characters longer than what we have here, right? With this 1. And again, the next one, we have our output is too short, and you can probably guess, 0.773, and we output 0, right? That's not right. And then test 3, so this was with minus 2230. This is with the test case minus 5100, right? And so you could test these on your own before you submit them too, just to make sure they jive with what you're seeing on the output. You can look at the output before you even submit them. On one of them, the program crashed, right? It says your program crashed here. And you might be able to figure out why. If you look at the standard input, the first number is 13 and the second number is 0. And so why did the program crash, and what can we do to solve it? And there's a hint in the assignment that tells you what you can do to do this. All right, so neither here nor there. We have some test cases that failed. We go through and we try to figure out how to correct these problems. And if we go back, I have another project here that I called Calculate Correct. And I can put that CPP file in here. And I can say, so one thing is if you have 2 CPP files in here, or 2 CXX files in here in your case, and you go test code, you'll get a weird error that says multiple definitions of main, right? So int main is the entry point to our program, and it's saying multiple definitions. And that's actually correct. We do have multiple definitions of main. Later, iCloud. Because we have 1 in calculateWrong.cpp and we have 1 in calculateCorrect.cpp, okay? And so we actually, when we upload a new file, have to delete the old file. So make sure you delete it. And it says really delete calculate wrong, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So now when we hit test code, it says all of the test cases passed. This question is complete. And you can go down and you can see, a sea of green down here. Before, when test cases were failing, it was highlighting the failed cases in red and the failed spots in red. But now everything looks copacetic. Okay? A few other things about hypergrade. I don't know if I went over this already, but I'll go over it just in case. I have 6 late days remaining. And so you'll have 7 late days remaining. You have a week over the course of the semester. So don't try to lose your late days. Try to submit early and often. And now you can see everything's complete. So that's good. And we're in business. So we've completed lecture 2. So good luck with that. And ask any questions on the homework help forum.